Now we're going to turn our attention to and look in more detail at the qualities of self-acceptance. And let's see, I have 10 qualities of self-accepting people. Number one, self-accepting people are joyful people. And some of the bullet points under this is the first sign of true self-acceptance is joyfulness. And by the way, as we go through this, give yourself a little pause to do a self-assessment of these qualities. So the first sign of true self-acceptance is joyfulness. Again, that is not happiness. I have come to the point in my life where I think of the pursuit of happiness as both futile and frustrating. Because happiness is contingent on conditions. Joy is not. It is not conditional. People who truly enjoy being who they are have good company. So you know the old idea that pay attention to who you're hanging with. I call that being engaged in conscious consumption. I got to be real careful about who I'm attaching to, who I'm hanging with. Self-accepting people are joyful people because if others are critical or unloving, those who truly love themselves will know that there is a communication breakdown. Going back to A Course in Miracles, one of the lessons, or maybe it's in the text, is all attack is a cry for help. So when I'm on top of my game and I'm being attacked, I recognize it's a call for help. And it's a communication breakdown. Self-accepting people, when having difficulty with others, it evokes a feeling of compassion. There we're back to the acceptance matrix. We're in a feeling of compassion toward others. Number two, self-accepting people relate to others easily. The more we accept ourselves as we are, the more we presume that others will like us too. If they're not appearing to like us, there's probably a communication breakdown. So they also relate to others easily because they enjoy being with others, anticipating their acceptance. We think of ourselves as gifts to be given through self-disclosure, and of others as gifts to be received gently and gracefully. Self-accepting people enjoy and savor moments of solitude. There was a philosopher from the East who said the problem with the Western person is they can't stand to spend 2 minutes with themselves. In fact, we become good company to ourselves. For those who do not accept themselves, being alone can mean a painful loneliness. And by the way, there are people suggesting today that loneliness is a central feature of states of dis-ease and even disease. The lonely experience a vacuum and look for distractions. So if you notice that you are searching out distractions, you may be dealing with loneliness. So I think the true nature of things is that we are not alone. Self-accepting people are open to being loved and complimented. I accept love from others graciously and gratefully. I receive internalizing favorable comments and compliments. And again, I've noticed with men in particular, well, actually with women too, that don't really accept compliments. They think they're fake, or it's a form of manipulation. I'm recalling an event when I taught high school psychology. I did this exercise with the kids. I said, get a writing instrument and a piece of paper and write down all your shortcomings. So they got to work immediately and kept writing and writing and writing. I stopped them and I said, now write down all your gifts. And all of the writing instruments hit the table. That's a sorry testimony to the state of affairs in the world. I am not consciously suspicious of the motives of the giver of compliments. Number 4, self-accepting people are empowered to be their, quote, real selves. And by the way, empowerment is not through others, it's within ourselves. First bullet point, to the extent that I truly and joyfully accept myself as I am, I have about me an authenticity that follows only from genuine self-acceptance. I accept myself before I can be myself. That's really interesting. It's like a little sequence that I accept myself before I can be myself. If you look at it as the opposite, I can't really be myself until I accept myself. When I love and admire another, I am honest and open about sharing my love and admiration with that person. One of my struggles in life is to express gratitude. I didn't live in a family where that happened. It was totally void, absent. So, next bullet point, authenticity means that I won't have to carry around with me a kind of baggage of life, a set of masks. Carl Jung described those masks as a persona. And most self-aware people I know would say they know what their masks are. So, and we have a clear sense to the question, big question, who am I? And notice the response to that question is, I am. Fill in the blanks. I don't think many people in this society can respond to that question, who am I? And it doesn't have to be complicated. You can say things like, I am generous. I am loving. I am lovable. I am kind. Again, I'll have some information about I am in the future. Self-accepting people accept themselves as they are right now. So the first point, yesterday's me is history. It's the past. Learn from it and move on. Tomorrow's me is a mystery. So we have the me of the past and the me of the future as history and mystery. Although we'll talk about a little bit more about demystifying the mystery. Real self-acceptance focuses on who am I now? So I'm going to offer you a powerful question. When you simply notice that you made a mistake, many people will go to the question, what's wrong with me? So here's another question. Rather than what's wrong with me, what's next for me? or what's now for me. And lastly, under number 5, what I have been, including my mistakes, is valuable for appreciation and instruction. Notice the word mistake. Mistake on who and what I really am. So referring again to A Course in Miracles, they say something that's profound to me. A mistake, or actually, sin and karma are not wrongs to be punished, but mistakes to be corrected. So sin and karma are not wrongs to be punished, but mistakes to be corrected. So as we simply notice, it's extremely important to notice a mistake as a shortcoming, which sets the stage for an overcoming, and make corrections like, again, forgiveness and amends, or humility and gratitude. Self-accepting people are able to laugh at themselves, this is number 6, often and easily. Taking oneself too seriously is an almost certain sign of insecurity. That's real interesting. That goes back to needs. One of the needs that Maslow identified in his hierarchy of needs is the need for security. So many people in the world are not experiencing security. They're able to admit and laugh at one's fragility and folly that requires an inner security that is born of self-acceptance. So a clear indicator when we're able to laugh at ourselves, we're self-accepting. Number 7, self-accepting people have the ability to recognize and attend to their own needs. So they are in touch with their own needs, both physical, emotional, intellectual, social, and spiritual. That's a big identification, to know that, to be that self-aware. When I truly and genuinely love myself, I am empowered to love all my brothers and sisters. Now I could say children and parents and on and on. So I'm able to love all spontaneously and naturally. Number 8, self-accepting people are self-determining people. They rely on their internal knowing themselves, knowing the true self, taking our clues from ourselves, not from other people or external authority. People in constant pursuit of external authority are not self-accepting. They don't know themselves. Self-accepting people hold no expectation of others. Well, I not fall into that trap, and every time I do, I find myself in a state of resentment. Number 9, self-accepting people are in good contact with reality. They enjoy and engage with life as it is. Accept what is. Accepting what is and possibilities. So there's acceptance again. They do not use the past or future as a means of escape. We use it as a dimension to create. So the past and the future are not means of escapes. They're kind of a framework to create. And number 10, self-accepting people are assertive. They make assumptions based on our authenticity, being true to ourselves. Interrelationships as equal. And respect ourselves and express openly and honestly. So what I would encourage you to do is to go back through this and again do a self assessment on these qualities of self acceptance, and you can set some direction in your life. And I can set it in my life.